There are many heated discussions that come up regarding abortion, and one item that continuously gets thrown into the mix is the morning after pill. Some of you might be familiar with information concerning it, and some of you might not. That little pill is highly debated in many communities and many subcultures, both politically and ideologically. So it's something that comes up quite frequently. I'm going to ask you to set aside all biases and contemplate what I'm about to say to you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the morning after pill, or Plan B, which is also known as, and I'm going to let you interpret the facts and make a decision for yourself. We're going to go over statistical evidence concerning the sexual irresponsibility of males. We're going to discuss the rights given to women to make choices concerning their own body, as well as unwanted pregnancy. And we're going to talk about the classification of the morning after pill as it pertains to the Food and Drug Administration. Now, any substance that is available to people has a classification with the FDA. So let's start and talk a little bit about the morning after pill and exactly what it is. According to FDA.gov, which is the official website for the Food and Drug Administration, Plan B is a backup method to birth control which is to be taken orally after any act of unprotected sex. The same ingredients that are used in birth control are also found in the Plan B pill, or the morning after pill. And that includes estrogen or progestin, which it can be a combination of the two or one or the other. The active ingredient, though, is progestin. The morning after pill slows ovulation. It doesn't actually terminate the egg. It doesn't at all whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. Ovulation and implantation are two totally different things. It slows ovulation, but if an egg is actually fertilized and it reaches the stages of implantation, then the morning after pill is completely ineffective. Thus, why you have to take it within 72 hours of any act of unprotected sex. So, it doesn't actually destroy a fertilized egg. So, should it be considered a form of abortion? Maybe or maybe not. The Plan B pill is only available over the counter without prescription to females above the age of 17 years old. You have to have identification as with any other type of controlled substance. If you are under the age of 17, or you have a daughter or a loved one that may be, and they do want to use it, you're going to have to take them to the doctor, and the doctor's going to have to say, okay, I'm going to write an emergency prescription in order for you to get this filled. That's just the way that it works. Until biases and a lot of political issues are out of the way, that's the way it's going to remain, even though it has been disputed many times. There are a few things that play into the decision to actually understand and accept this type of contraception, and one important factor is the burden of sexual responsibility and how males pertain to it. Katie Asheville from the National Women's Health Network, she explains that there are primarily two types of birth control for males. There are barrier methods, which consist of condoms and spermicide, and then there are vasectomies. With the younger generations, clearly vasectomies are out of the question. That it doesn't even come into conversations because the answer is absolutely no. In her studies, Asheville references statistics by saying that men whose female partners use hormonal contraceptives, such as birth control, are less likely to use condoms as a result of this. So while generally using birth control as well as a condom is 9 times out of 10 100% effective, if a male knows that his female partner is using birth control, he's less likely to use that condom. The lack of condom use that is rising in younger generations is leaving the burden of sexual responsibility with the females primarily, and it's also exposing them to higher rates of STDs. So this is something that's constantly emerging in society today. Plenty of research and analysis has been conducted on this. I also want to discuss with you the choices that women are allowed to make concerning their bodies and unwanted pregnancy, because this is extremely important. Not only does it pertain to women's rights and civil rights, but it's also been made a federal ruling by a federal court. In the 1970s, federal courts ruled that women have the constitutional right, according to the 14th Amendment, to seek out abortion. Now, some of you may or may not agree with this. A lot of it may pertain to your religious beliefs, but at the same time, you have to think about certain situations that may arise, including rape, incest, and things of that nature that could cause an unwanted pregnancy other than a night out with an uninhibited sexual partner that you may or may not have had protected sex with. All right? There are a lot of instances where women have no control or say over what happens to them sexually, and in those cases, abortion 9 times out of 10 is going to be justified. The only stipulation to this federal court ruling was that the states had to protect the health of the mother at all costs, regardless of what she thought might be best for herself, and the health of viable human life. The definition of viable human life, according to a federal court, is if a child can be taken from a mother's womb and his or her life can be sustained by any sort of outside method, ventilators, breathing tubes, anything like that, that is technically considered sustaining a viable human life. If that baby were to be taken from a mother's womb and it could not survive by any means at all, in any way whatsoever, that is when it's okay. Despite political and ideological debates, the ruling still stands. The federal courts have been contested plenty of times. There have been numerous appeals, but to this day, that ruling has yet to be overturned, and that is the way that it will remain until scientists are able to justify exactly when human life begins. And then that's going to change the argument a little bit. The evidence is overwhelming, and the practical application of the morning after pill completely makes sense. So let me take a moment to reiterate everything that we've gone over. The topic concerning the morning after pill, or Plan B, is not something that's going to end anytime soon. People are going to continue arguing and debating about it for years to come. The one thing to keep in mind is that each method of contraception that we understand and use in today's culture once hosted those same debates and arguments. Despite everything we've covered, there's one thing that has yet to be said, and that is the issue concerning the moment that life begins has yet to be determined and finalized. So a form of contraception is not adequately defined by the word abortion until the precedence has been established by scientific evidence. A pregnancy starts at the moment of implantation. And according to scientific evidence, the morning after pill is ineffective once implantation has occurred, making this drug only as useful as any other method of contraception. So I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, would you use it? Do you know someone that's used it? And did they have good reason?